The following is a special presentation of the Sports Journey Network. Sports Journey.
Welcome to another edition of The Breakdown, and I'm your host, Dujunnea Bland, and the sports, it keeps rolling, and it's going to be another crazy week. Before we get into it, I'm bringing in my co-host, Carita Parks. How are you doing, Carita?
I'm doing good, DJ. How are you?
Oh, man, hanging on with so much info coming out so fast. We're just trying to catch all of it at once. And we have some peculiar news over on the West Coast, don't we, Carita?
Well, yes. It's been a really busy week with sports, and we're going to get into all that. But first, I think we have to congratulate the Seattle Storm on winning the WNBA championship during a season that has been unusual. A shortened season in the wobble, but Seattle really have been the strongest team the entire time. They have their superstar Breanna Stewart, and then of course the GOAT Sue Bird, who is 40 years old and just locked down her fourth WNBA championship. And to put this in perspective, Seattle won that last game 92-59, so it was a blowout. And they swept the Las Vegas Aces in the 3 games. And they did their thing. They came to Orlando with a full roster and was one of the few teams that actually had everyone. And so just definitely had to bring that to the forefront. Any thoughts, Jay?
When you think of that, of what they did, which is incredible, but do they suffer from having an advantage? I mean, the defending champs didn't have all of their proverbial bullets in the gun. They come down a full roster. Now, granted, everyone's got some disadvantages, and everybody's got to work with the same circumstances, but they had a full roster. Do you think that played into them having success in this bubble here?
Oh, 100%. Anyone who had a full roster had an advantage, especially this season, because so many people did not have all of their pieces. I definitely believe if the Washington Mystics were there, they would be giving other teams a run for their money. I mean, to see how far they came along without their pieces, imagine if everyone was there. So definitely. But what can you do? It's an unconventional year, and Seattle was able to capitalize.
Got to get in where you fit in, and they got in.
Exactly. So they ain't mad.
Yeah, and congratulations to them. That it's to change circumstances, to really adapt to that bubble, be focused, and be able to take that all the way to win a championship. I mean, I know people think that that's easy, but it really isn't. They're away from their families. They're confined in this space, and it's one thing and one thing only, and it takes a lot to stay focused on the task to attain a championship and not lose that focus, especially being in that type of confined environment that's kind of redundant, so to speak.
Most definitely.
What else you got, Carita?
Well, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the NFL, which will take us through the rest of our show. But breaking today, the LA Chargers have named Justin Herbert their starting quarterback going forward. And we know that Anthony Lynn was instrumental in bringing Justin Herbert in, drafting him 6th overall this year. Tyrod Taylor just lost his job because the team doctor accidentally punctured his lung. Talk about someone who just has the worst luck.
Can't catch a break.
Cannot catch a break. So when he was in Buffalo, he lost his job to Nathan Peterman.
Of all people.
Now, where is he? Where is Nathan Peterman? Where is he at? We don't, yeah. And then in Cleveland, he got a concussion, lost his job to Baker Mayfield. And now, another unfortunate injury, and he loses his job to Justin Herbert. I mean, what do you think about that? Let's talk a little bit about Tyrod Taylor and his just unfortunate luck.
It's unfortunate because, I've had people tell me, oh, well, he hasn't really played well in any circumstances he's been in. And it's like, okay, in some circumstances, and when the offense was tailored to him, he did very well. When they started not tailoring offenses for him and for his skill set and what he does best, he hadn't done well. Also, he had the injury bug. But to be injured by someone else and to lose your job is ridiculous. I still think injury and losing your job is ridiculous because we all know that it doesn't happen to their counterpart quarterbacks at all. They get second, third chances. How many chances did Ryan Mallett have? How many chances did Sam Bradford have? Sam Bradford made more money doing nothing than he did being out on the football field. Contract after contract after contract. People were trading draft picks for this guy, and he's brittle sticks. Makes no sense to me. And it's absurd that now he's going to lose his job to an incumbent guy who they drafted, which I understand. You have to prepare for the future. But he didn't even get an opportunity to even lead this football team, hence under COVID conditions.
He didn't. And because that was such a perfect transition, I cannot let that go because we have to talk about someone else who didn't get an opportunity to prove himself, and that is Dwayne Haskins.
You go ahead first, Carita.
Okay, I'll take this first because DJ is trying to collect himself over there because I know he has some strong feelings, and so do I. First and foremost, as you mentioned, there was really no offseason, no OTAs. There were a lot of virtual meetings. The first time everyone got together was in person at training camp, which was 3 weeks long. There was also no preseason. Dwayne Haskins was already a raw quarterback when he was drafted. We saw what he went through last year. He didn't get into the game until maybe the middle of the season. He played, I think it was 6 games last year, maybe 7. And now enter Ron Rivera, a completely new system, a new offensive coordinator, quite a few new pieces on offense. I mean, there's really not a lot of veterans on the offense. On the defense, you still got some sprinkled in, but on the offense, that is not the case. How in the world do you expect him after 4 games to be all that great, to be honest, especially with what he has around him? That's what we have to look at. Dwayne Haskins is not the only problem on the offense. No. You've got a bunch of rookies who are also learning the system, trying to figure out how to navigate the NFL, which is a completely different level than college. And then you expect Dwayne Haskins to work miracles. Now, we can all agree he did not play well versus Cleveland. He had 3 interceptions. And in addition to that, I think we can agree that he does still have some accuracy issues.
Absolutely.
So he's not a perfect quarterback, but you committed to him as your starter. And when I say, I'm speaking of Ron Rivera, you committed to him as your starter. You named him a team captain. Then you yank him 4 games in for Kyle Allen. And I'm going to speak before we even go there. I'm going to let you speak before we even go there. But for Kyle Allen. And then to make matters even worse, Dwayne Haskins isn't even a backup. He's the third string quarterback. Like, what? I just feel like there has to be more to it than what's being told to us. But I'm going to let you weigh in now because I just went on a rant.
The people who seem to think and want to act like, and they want to use Justin Herbert and all these other quarterbacks as show fodder. And it's not. It's not at all. He came into a situation where he wasn't even wanted. Okay? Jay Gruden didn't want to work with him, didn't want to coach him, and said he wasn't ready. And then, after he gets canned, which he should have never been there in the first place, Callahan says the man ain't ready, which tells me you not working with him. Then you decided to work with him a little bit, but not really enough, because guess what? That man's offense in Callahan was more tailored to running the football. So how in the world are you learning how to be an NFL quarterback in a West Coast offense when you're not running one? All right? Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Now, we want to sit here and look at guys like Justin Herbert and all of that. Well, they're coming in and they're actually being worked with from the jump. And I understand COVID, same situations, but they got pieces over there with these teams. Mm-hmm. There are no pieces here. And I don't mean to degrade the talent that's on the roster, but they're all dealing with the same thing, trying to learn an offense that they know nothing about. Now, if you wanted the man to have success, then you should have tailored this offense to fit his skill set for this COVID, and in its off time, work on your style of offense, and you can sprinkle that in as the weeks go on. I know how this works. I'm not an idiot. And then you want to sit here and you want to tell us that it's about building. Well, if it's about building, you anointed that guy as your starter. Then you need to work with him and build for the rest of the season so that you can find out whether this guy can get it done mentally between his ears or not. This is a matter of coaching people up. I don't want to hear about you think you can have a shot at the division. Do I need to go there? Do I need to go there with your schedule and the division? You can't even beat the Cowboys. And to be quite honest with you, you won't beat the Giants the second time. Yeah, I said it. You can mark it down. There's no argument. Tell me what this team can do. Then you tell me with the 3 games they got left in this second quarter of the NFL season. They got the Rams, the Giants, the Cowboys. Who they beating? Maybe the Giants? Maybe? After that performance last week against the Ravens and the performance before that against the Browns, they not beating the Giants, and they sure as heck ain't beating the Cowboys, who has the best quarterback in the NFC East.
Yeah, and you speak of the Rams. So, well, okay, I'll get to the Rams in a second. I want to go back to a couple of points that you mentioned. So going back to Jay Gruden and how Jay Gruden didn't want him. Jay Gruden, if you remember, put Dwayne Haskins in the New York Giants game. The team's down 14-0, and that's because the quarterback, Case Keenum, I was losing my thought for a second. Case Keenum got hurt. Team's down 14-0. Dwayne Haskins, at that point in time, from my understanding, wasn't even taking snaps with the first team. He threw 3 interceptions, looked terrible, as you could expect. So how did that even set him up for success moving forward? Because the fan base, was not happy with that performance.
Murdered him.
So you put him in a bad situation when you finally did decide you were going to use him a little bit. So that's one thing. And you're not set up for success when someone doesn't want you. Like where you get drafted matters. And if this was forced upon Jay Gruden, he never, and I said this in my article, like he never had a chance. So that's one. And then you talked about building and development, which is what Ron Rivera, every single week when Ron Rivera has been asked about something that he didn't do or a decision that he didn't make, he says, I am trying to develop a football team. He made it seem like it's not about you want to win, but it's not completely about that. I'm trying to see what I have. And he has said that for the past couple of weeks. And now suddenly you've shifted from I'm developing a football team to win now. And we can win the division. Right. And then now you're putting Kyle Allen in, who last year he has 17 touchdowns, granted, but 16 interceptions.
Excuse me? What was that?
16 interceptions. That is a lot. And you're putting him in with the Rams, who got Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, who is always looking for an interception. You better hope. You better hope. And then you've got, oh goodness, I'm going blank. I see his face. On the defense, the Rams defense.
You're talking about Johnson. You're talking about Johnson the third, the safety.
But I have someone else in mind, and I just can't. Aaron Donald?
Aaron Donald, too. Yep.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. You have him. Like, come on. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dwayne Haskins wasn't much of a scrambler. But, sometimes he could escape.
Right.
But Kyle Allen is going nowhere.
Nowhere.
He's a pocket passer. And
strictly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I could be wrong. But in the words of Ron Rivera, I could be right.
Hey, he did say that. But they got to go 7-4 to even think about winning a division that I think they need to be 8-8 to win. And I'm going to tell you, there ain't no chance in of them making a 7-4 run. And if they do, then it's good for business. But I'm going to tell you right now, as of today, that's a nada. There's no way. Not with that schedule.
It's just hard for me to see Kyle Allen just turning this team around, especially when you still have the same people on offense. Now, Antonio Gibson is starting to find a rhythm.
Right.
I mean, guys are starting to find some rhythm, but they're still not where they need to be.
My thing about Haskins, though, and this is my thing, okay? First of all, it's cool you working, but you on social media talking too much. And then you come out here and you put out that performance against the Cardinals. Then you come back and you have a even worse performance against the Browns where you throw 3 interceptions. And then you got your butt handed to you against the Ravens, and you keying, hooping it up, pushing guys and think it's funny, and you lost. Like, you should be mad. Now, you want to talk to them after the game? That's cool. But on the field, all that chumming it up, that's not how I want my quarterback to be performing. You should be mad. Take your butt to the locker room. Terry wasn't happy about losing. But you over there laughing it up when you just got your foot put in your behind. That's insane. You're on social media talking about what you're going to do. Just do it. Be quiet and do it. And people feel some type of way about that.
I don't. I have heard that some of his social media activity was frustrating some of the teammates, especially because of his performance not being where it needed to be.
Right.
I don't know whether or not that factored into the decision, but it seems to be an issue for people.
Right. I mean, you don't get to floss when you ain't doing nothing. I mean, let's be real. You got mechanics that need to be worked on. Your throwing motion is inconsistent. Your footwork is inconsistent, which hurts your accuracy. So I get it. But then, in turn, in 4 games, you expect this guy to be lights out when your offensive line is inconsistent. Wide receivers are inconsistent and don't get open and don't hold on to the ball. I mean, the whole thing is discombobulated. It's apparent that what you're putting together, he or the rest of the guys aren't able to do. So you know what? A great coach once told me that if you got 50 plays and a man can only do 15, then I suggest you start calling those 15 then.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
And that's
call
the other
plays he
thing.
can't run.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, we saw him thrive more in fast-paced offense. So why not stick a little more to that type of offense?
Thank you.
And so, and that brings me to something else. It's like, what about the offensive coordinator? You know what I mean? Like, where is some of the blame here when it comes to that?
Because a coaching up is understanding what your players do well and what they don't do well, and stop pigeonholing a bunch of guys, 11 guys, into doing something that you want to do. Well, you know what? Maybe they can't do what you want to do. So you're going to have to make some adjustments to fit the personnel that you have on the field as of right now. You want to work to what you want to do, but right now you don't have that. So you need to work with what you have. And they're not doing that at all.
Not at all.
I'm not okay with the decision. I'm okay with the decision because Ron had conviction. What I don't like, though, is how you go about it. Don't spew this nonsense of this and that and about winning and about taking advantage of an opportunity when I look at your schedule and you got people like the Cowboys, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Panthers. You aren't winning those games. Not today. Not as of today. Your defense hasn't played up on the back end, and neither have you played well on offense to even think about smelling any wins in any of those games. What I do think here is going on, if you're going to bump a guy, if you say he's not playing well, right, and you want to put in somebody that's going to give you a spark, that's going to run the offense that a little bit better, right, you make that man the second string quarterback. You made him the third string quarterback. And you bumped Alex Smith up, a guy that we don't even know if he can really play on that leg. And honestly, personally, I don't want to see that. I'm very nervous for the man. Okay?
I know. So, see, the thing for me, that's the thing for me, the point that you just made. So, it's shocking that they did pull him 4 games in. But I think what's even more shocking is that he's the third string quarterback. So, to your point, if this is about him learning and developing, why not make him the backup?
Because they might be looking to trade him.
Yeah.
That's my thought. Trade.
No. Definitely feels like a trade is on the horizon. Probably don't want him injured.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's still running a scout team. I just don't want my quarterback that I want to trade to be out there to possibly get hurt if my starter gets hurt. They know exactly. I mean, it reeks of a trade. And I thought this. You saw it. Emery took the words right out of my mouth when he tweeted it. When you move a guy to a third string, he's a first round draft pick. There ain't no other reason to move a guy to a third string quarterback unless you trading his behind. And I know Lake said who would trade for him, but come on, man. They know what's going on over here in Washington, and somebody going to trade for him. They know that ain't been no work done with this boy. None.
There will be somebody. I don't know who, but there will be someone. There always is someone, you know. So, and there will be someone who wants to work with him, and that's the key.
Absolutely.
And I did think that Ron Rivera was open to that. I am not going to lie. I'm a little surprised at how he's handled it, especially seeing how he was at Carolina.
Yep.
And just how he seemed to handle situations very well. This really seems out of character for him, in my opinion. But it's not to give him excuses. He's going through a lot right now.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that can factor into, like, your patience. And, you know, so I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's just a crazy situation. And it's like, you know, Washington football team is a team that keeps on giving.
They do. They keep on giving. And we will have to see how this goes come Sunday.
And Alex Smith, I'm sorry, I did want to say something about that. I'm like you. It just makes me nervous because the near-death experience occurred because of the infection. Apparently the leg, obviously it was broke, it was hurt, But they got that under control, and it was the infection that really caused the problem. But I just could not imagine him getting hit by somebody. Like, I just don't want to see him, not because I have a problem. I think it's great. His story is great, and I think he's a talented quarterback, and I want to see him win, but I just don't want to see anything else. I don't want to see anything happen to him. That's really
I don't
right.
either. That's my thing. I'm really concerned about that. It's about guys taking you down, the twisting motion. What if your foot's caught in the ground? Can that leg handle that? And I don't think in the middle of a game in front of national audience is the time to be testing that out. And honestly, it's more about his kids. And obviously, it's his choice. He's talked with his family. It just worries me. It makes my stomach turn thinking about it. So the story is incredible, but this ain't the time to. I just makes me.
But we'll probably
chills.
see him ride it out with Kyle Allen.
I think so.
So.
It's sad. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up. It's been an interesting week with the football team. It's been an interesting week in sports, and it's going to get more interesting as more people are testing positive for COVID. So keep your eyes open. Things will change rapidly, and we will try to discuss that here on The Breakdown. Be sure to catch Carita's article on the three-point conversion. That is with a 3pointconversion.com. Dwayne Haskins never had a chance in Washington. It is a great read. It breaks everything down so perfectly, and you don't want to miss that one. That is a gem, a really good gem. Tell them where they can find the rest of your work, Carita.
You can find the rest of my work on doubletakesports.com. That's dbltakesports.com. Also, Mystics Wizards work is on sportsjourney.com. You can follow me on social media at Carita C. Parks. That's Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow Double Take Sports on Twitter and Instagram at DBLTakeSports.
And it's great work over there. Before I close this out, Double Take Sports, there's a great video with one of my guys, our guy here, Tyrod Davenport. Man, special dude, and he really gives some gems and some insight to himself, how he got there, and could be inspiration for those of you who are working and tracking and going up that ladder and may feel like you want to quit. It's great stuff. So check that out over there as well. And you can check out my stuff. One more thing, Carita.
Oh, I just wanted to say, because you were talking about that, Tyrod also gives a really good update on the Titans COVID situation in that video. And it's reported that right now the Titans and Bills game is actually being rescheduled for Tuesday. I mean, they had 2 positive tests today, so they're not going to play Sunday. Pending no more positive tests, right now they're saying Tuesday. So just wanted to give that quick update.
You got it. You heard it here first. So make sure you check your lineups for fantasy football. And you can find my work at NotBland21 on Twitter for everything that I talk about. It is all me. Anywhere on any of the social media sites, it's easier for Twitter though. My work, written work, is at sportsjourney.com. And that's it, man. We appreciate it so much. It is a pleasure doing this for you guys, and we hope to be back with you next week with some more great news in sports right here on The Breakdown.